Alright guys, in this video what we're going to be doing is we're going to be styling the two different layouts. The one with the menu and the one without the menu in the right hand side, or the main content takes up the entire site. Now I have to admit that I was going to teach you how to do this in a kind of like the standard way that everyone uses whenever they're using Bootstrap. But in between the last video that I just filmed and this one, I thought of a new way to do it, and I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but we'll see. So just to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on, instead of toggled, because it's like, alright, is this the one where the menu is showing, or is this the class where the menu is hidden? I'm gonna change this to menu displayed. So by default, the wrapper is just going to show a blank website with no menu, but then whenever we toggle this class, then the menu is going to appear, and you can keep clicking the button to hide it, show it, hide it, show it. But anyways, by default, no menu, and then we're going to click it, and this menu displayed is of course when the menu is displayed. I thought it was a little bit easier to understand. So in here, the first thing I want to do is, should I add comments or not? Might as well. Alright, we're going to style the sidebar, the main menu bar on the left. Now, sidebar wrapper. So the sidebar wrapper is essentially just the entire sidebar. And whenever we, actually style what color do we want the items to be when we hover over them and all that good stuff, then we can do it with this. But remember, the sidebar wrapper is just your entire left menu. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to set the Z index to 1. Now, you're going to see why later on. Oh man, this is not going to work. Actually, I have faith, it will. So, the position of this and the position of everything is going to be absolute. What that means is this starting point for this menu is the top left. Now also, the main area, whenever we make that too, that starting point is going to be top left as well. So it's kind of a weird way to position things, both, kind of overlapping, but I'll show you guys what's going on. Hopefully it's pretty cool. So by default, remember, this isn't going to display, so I'm just going to set the width to 0. Now I also want to set the height to 100%, because I always want this to take up the entire height. I don't know, I think that's just how like most software works, like this right here. So what we're going to be doing is whenever we toggle it, we're just going to give it a width of like 250 pixels. So essentially it's going to be like this at first, and then when we toggle it, it's just going to have a width, so it displays. Really easy, right? Hopefully. So another thing I want to do is overflow Y, which means left and right. Whenever you have content in here that takes up more than the width, then I'm just going to say hidden. And that's because you see all this stuff in here, how it may be like 250 pixels wide. Well, whenever the menu is, only this big, we don't want the content popping out on the right hand side. So pretty much exactly how this little area works right here. If the content's too long, then just cut it off and don't show it. Alright, why did I have so many spaces there? Alright, so now we can just give it a background, and one of my favorite colors is 2C3E50. A kind of dark blue. And just so this is actually easy to see, for the border, I'm going to give it a border of 2 pixels solid red. So it's going to look really goofy, but I want to show you guys clearly how it shrinks and expands, and I think putting a border around it will be easier to see. And just so I'll see if my little trick works, I'm going to give it an opacity so we can kind of see through this, and it's a little bit transparent. So right now what we have is we have this menu on the left hand side, and by default we gave all the settings we need to, but we set the width to 0. So essentially we have the menu, it exists, but the width is like that. That's all we did. Simple enough. Now after this we're gonna just put like the main, I don't want to say the main area, like the right, I don't know, I'll say like the main content. So again, this is just the main area on the right. So not the entire thing, but the area on the right. Now all I'm going to do right here is I'm going to set this area to take up the entire screen. Kind of weird, but maybe it'll work. So page, content, wrapper, and that's just this right here, remember, the right hand side. What I'm going to do for this is set the width to 100% and the position absolute, and the padding is, I'll just set it to 15 pixels, and that's just so the buttons and the headings aren't butted right up against the top. And I also want to add a border to this, so border, I'll say like a 5 pixels solid green. What was my other one? Red? Alright, green will be good on this one. So right now what's happening is whenever the user first loads the page, this sidebar on the left hand side, it isn't going to be displaying because it has a width of 0. So that means that the main content is going to be taking up the entire width. Alright, good to go. However, whenever the user tries to open this menu and we give a width, since this is absolute, then it's going to look like this menu is displaying on top of this, and it's going to hide some of the content, and it's going to look really goofy. So to remedy that, what I'm going to do is this. The first thing we need to do, of course, is give myself some more room to work. Alright. The sidebar to displayed. Alright, so now I want to start working on that wrapper. What do we call it? Menu displayed. Did we call it menu displayed? On that menu display class. So I'm going to change the styling of this for whenever the menu is actually displayed. Now for the sidebar wrapper, which is the side menu, all we need to do here to display the menu is we need to give it a width. So right now it has a width of 0, and if we just give it a width of 250 pixels, then it's in the proper location already. It has all the settings and styling that it needs. Once we have width, it's going to display. Now, like I said, the problem with this is it's going to be overlapping on top of our main content. So to fix that, actually, don't even need these stupid comments on every single thing I do. So let me wrapper menu displayed, and we want to change something with the main content. Now for this, all we have to do is we have to give it a padding left. So what this is going to do is, even though the user isn't going to know what's going on, what's going to happen is the menu, the side menu, is going to take up 250 pixels on the left, and all the content in here, your main area, instead of starting right up against the left hand side, we're going to say, hey, actually start 250 pixels to the left so we have room for the menu. So all we have to do now is our basic styling. So sidebar styling, no Bootstrap weird techniques, just how do we want it to look. And what do we do first? So sidebar nav, which is our main menu inside that sidebar. And just for housekeeping, I'm going to put the padding to 0, and I'm going to put the list style to none. Since this is an unordered list, we don't want those stupid bullet points or like little diamonds. We just want, no styling. We'll do it ourselves. So now the actual list items, which are the menu items that you click, I'm going to have a text indent of, let's say, like 20 pixels, just so it's off the left hand side a little bit. And for the line height, I'll set this to 40 pixels. And if you don't do this, then they look kind of jumbled together. This will give them some space so they look like actual buttons and not just a bunch of text stacked on top of each other. And for the sidebar nav, holy hot tamale. The links inside, I'll just say display block, so they stack on top of each other instead of, trying to read like a paragraph. And the text decoration, since they are link, We don't want to underline on them. And for the color, I'll just say DDD, which is kind of a light gray. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say whenever you hover over one of these, then we want to give it a background like you're hovering over a big blocky button. So sidebar nav, and if you hover over a list item, we'll just change the background to let's say 16A085. A cool little, I don't know, like turquoise or something. So hopefully, if this works, we'll see what's going on. So run this and check it out. So like I said, by default, this is what we get, and this of course would usually be on the toolbar, but whatever. And this main content, which is surrounded with a green border, it's taking up the entire width of the web page. Now I'm going to toggle this button and check it out. So since this is transparent, you can see that this main content, which is surrounded with a green border, it's still taking up 100% of the site. So it's still taking up this area right here, but what we did is we added a padding on the left hand side. So the content doesn't actually start until right around here where my mouse is. Now if you notice this menu that's on the left hand side, all we're doing here is, by default it has a width of 0, and if I took that red border away, that's the only reason that you see it right here, because I added a stupid red border. But if I took it away, then it would be completely hidden, and whenever I toggle it, we're just giving it a width, and whenever you give it a width, then everything displays perfectly. So my little idea actually worked, and just so we can test things out, check that out. Pretty cool, eh? So toggle that, and all of our content is looking good, and wow, this is super, this is super responsive. Usually things start messing up right around here, but yeah, look at that, pretty cool. And just so I can demonstrate real quick how much better this looks if we don't have all those weird borders and everything. Let me refresh it, and this would be kind of a user experience. So they don't know that you know, we're tricking them behind the scenes, but look at that. Pretty cool functionality. Got a really basic menu going on. So yeah, if you guys have any other weird techniques, then please let me know. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and well, see you guys next time.